You've tuned into Radio Northern Beaches. We live stream on rnb.org.au across the northern beaches of New South Wales, Australia and all over the world. You can also catch us local on 88.7 and 90.3 FM. Our podcasts are available at your convenience at rnb.org.au or rnbpodcast.com.au. So you and your friends don't miss any episodes. Don't forget to follow and share. Now here's our latest podcast.
Hello and welcome to Spin the Globe with your host Caryn Shipp. Today I'm very excited to introduce today's guest live in studio, Chief Superintendent Daryl Dunbar from Fire and Rescue New South Wales. Hi Daryl.
Hi Caryn, and hello to Radio Northern Beaches listeners.
Oh look, it's a pleasure to have you here today. Daryl's call of duty for fire and rescue are emergency management interactions on a world scale. My guest today has an extraordinary career in emergency services. His work has taken him across the globe, responding to some of the most complex and challenging disasters imaginable. He's Chief Superintendent Daryl Dunbar from Fire and Rescue New South Wales, and he leads the Metropolitan East Area Command. Daryl, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Just on that Mission Impossible song,
yes,
it lines with Fire Rescue's mantra of prepared for anything and protect the irreplaceable.
Oh no, that is so appropriate. I must have channeled that when I picked that tune because it's just resonated. Look, got to ask you, where did your journey in fire and rescue begin? Did you just wake up one day and hear your calling?
Not quite. A quick background, Dunbars in the Northern Beaches. My grandfather, Jack, and grandma, Daisy, they arrived in Mona Vale in 1912 and actually had a bakery down, Maisie's Bakery down where Pittwater High School is.
Wow.
And Jack used to deliver bread over the Northern Beaches in a motorcycle with sidecar. So a bit of history. Went into farming, tomatoes. And then my dad was a senior sergeant in Broken Bay Water Police.
Gee.
And from there, Dad used to talk about the emergency services. I saw his job in regards to helping the community, and it went from there.
Oh, what a different place the Northern Beaches was in those days.
Very much so, and probably jealous. I would have liked to go back to those days and enjoy that, yeah.
Yeah, country town, the holiday shacks.
Very much
I suppose so. And I'm aware that from Broken Bay and all coming down the Hawkesbury and down this area with the deliveries from farms up north as well. All the Hawkesbury, they used to come through these areas to get their produce to Sydney.
Very much so, very much so. And Dad, with his work on Broken Bay around Pittwater, used to know a lot of the industry and all the people that worked on Pittwater.
Yeah, no wonder you've been inspired to take up services here. What kept you motivated through these years?
For the years for fire rescue, again, you touched on it, Caryn, it's just the service the community. And with the job, every day is different. No, I'm not, unfortunately, emergencies do impact the community as such, but I don't know what I'm going to be faced with each day. So that's what keeps driving me every day.
That's right. It's just as soon as something happens, you're on. Can you tell us about the different roles you've taken in your career?
Prior to fire rescue, I was in the building industry, and then I joined fire rescue in 1986. From there, City of Sydney Fire Station, from a recruit to Narrabeen. Narrabeen was involved in rescue. We did a lot of vertical rescue, one of the first Larkin frames, so that's a cliff extrication device for managing getting patients up and over cliffs. That was at Freshwater at Narrabeen. So unfortunately, a lot of motor vehicle accidents we had to attend. From there, I went to an instructor, what we call Principal Instructor North. So that was basically from Sydney Harbour up the far coast right to the Queensland border.
Yep.
And from there, we introduced one of the successes there was what we call is live firefighting cells, and I was able to actually implement these cells in the Hunter Valley and up around Kempsey area for like a peppercorn rent with the owners of the property. So that was good to get our firefighters that exposure to live firefighting training. From there, I went into hazmat, hazardous materials response.
Oh, yeah.
And probably I wouldn't say highlights, but probably the key components was part of the dignitary protection. So we had APAC, World Youth Day, so that was part of being involved in the motorcades. You'd wear a charcoal suit, so if you're exposed to some of those CBRNs, so chemical, biological, nuclear hazards, that charcoal suit would absorb them, so we would be involved in the motorcade protection. From there, manage a bushfire, and that was a very big part of my career. Some successes in there with the bushfire team. We put in over 250 CFU, community fire unit trailers, that's supporting the local residents on that bushland urban interface.
Yes. Yep.
Some doctrine that was then published through the Australian Fire Authorities Council, and that was managing bushfires in the interface. And obviously a number of deployments, which we'll speak about a little later.
Yep.
From there, special ops, so special operations that involved urban search and rescue, and hazmat. So oversaw a lot of those other areas, the bushfire and hazardous materials. Then was the Zone Commander at Metro South 2, so that's around the Botany Bay area.
Yes.
And you had major infrastructure, Sydney Airport, ANSTO, so the nuclear technology, and also a lot of the petroleum infrastructure around Botany Bay. And from there, education and training.
Wow.
So education and training's now moved out to Orchard Hills, but it was at Alexandria, so it was part of that facilitating the move from Alexandria to Orchard Hills.
Orchard Hills, yeah.
And then staff office of the Deputy Commissioner. And then from there, I've landed into Area Commander, Metropolitan East.
Wow.
So Met East is 38 fire stations, over 1,000 firefighters, encompasses the eastern suburbs, CBD, Northern Beaches, North Shore, and inner western suburbs.
That's a huge command, a giant footprint, as I would say, in the events.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
I think I would call you fire royalty. I'd say you've seen changes, and I'm just going to jump off script here, changes in the way people deal with emergencies and fires. Based on experience from when you first started to now, there's been a lot happening. There's been, just technology, chemicals, lessons learned from the way you dealt with things back in the early days to now. What sort of changes stand out for you?
Oh, very much so, Caryn, and a lot of that is to do with unfortunately, is the type of products or material that is actually burning now, and the hazardous materials as such. A lot of, you only have to look around your own home now when you look at, obviously, the furnishings, the synthetic materials as such, the products of combustion that's being produced. And then we'll talk about a little bit later, the lithium-ion batteries now is another hazard. So we're moving from one hazard, and as society moves forward, unfortunately there are other hazards that do come to the forefront.
In the building industry, all that cladding they were talking about, terrible fires.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yep. We want to talk about some of the deployments you've done, both locally and internationally. Can you tell us a bit about those?
Yeah, bushfire deployments, I say manage a bushfire, so numerous bushfire deployments up and down the New South Wales coast, and that was as a strike team leader. So strike team is when 4 or 5 fire engines, we call appliances, but fire engines, will be dispatched to certain areas, and would have a deployment that'd be a 1-5-1. So 1 day travel, 5 days in the field, and then 1 day return. So up and down the coast. Also then acting as what we call a deputy incident controller. So I've done that at Kempsey in a number of areas where the team myself have had to put in emergency alerts to areas that were impacted by bushfires. Victoria in 2006, Swifts Creek. That was over a Christmas period. That's where we're providing relief for the incident management team down there. So we went down there and covered that Christmas period. One of the stunning aspects with that was, unfortunately, the burnt ground. But then in some of the riparian areas, like the creek areas, you had the tree ferns. They were still green. You had the black burnt ground. And then we actually had snow falling. So the contrast with the colours was quite amazing.
Incredible. Were you there for the Black Friday fires?
No.
They were quite serious.
We had Tasmania 2013, then an international deployment was over in the USA in 2006.
Right.
And that was part of a structural protection group. So over there, deployed. Interesting aspect over there with what the United States, the Americans call wildfires, what we call bushfires.
Yes.
Is as a lead up to that deployment, once you're in country, you then have to practice those little tents. So it's almost like you wrap yourself up in alfoil aspect in case you get what we call fire overrun or a burn over as such. Protection.
Yes, the fire blankets.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
A bit more than that. It's like a small tent,
A tent.
cocoon that you coil up into, and you've got to practice setting that up within 30 seconds before you're allowed on the fire ground.
Wow. And that would happen. I'm very sad occasions I've heard.
Unfortunately, emergency responders have been caught in those incidents, yes.
Yeah, of course. You're talking about urban search and rescue, and I heard you and I had that conversation about Thredbo, that disaster down in Thredbo you were part of. Yeah,
that's correct. I was still based at Narrabeen Fire Station. I'd completed what we call a Cat 1 or a USAR, so my partner, Urban Search and Rescue Technicians course, and we were deployed down to Thredbo. So part of that process is to go there, and obviously we tried it. We talk about the first 175 hours, 100 hours, is to rescue occupants. So a good friend of mine and a fellow firefighter, Steve Hurst, actually heard Stuart Diver's voice, and from there we were actually go in there and extricate Stuart Diver.
What an amazing rescue that was. Incredible that he survived, and a very sad tale. Christchurch, another one with the earthquakes over there?
Yes, deployed there as a part of the planning team of the incident management team. So as a deployment so urban search and rescue within Australia and New South Wales. So New South Wales, we have a disaster response team.
Yes.
And it's accredited with the United Nations as OZ2. So we deployed as OZ2. That was a heavy team. So heavy teams means that you can work in the field 10 days at 2 different sites around the clock for 24 hours. So we deployed with over 72 personnel. Yeah. Majority firefighters, supported by New South Wales Health, paramedics, doctors, police, and Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, so Commonwealth, and as well as NEMA, National Emergency Management Australia.
Wow, DFAT, of course, for the overseas ones. And what about Turkey?
Turkey in 2023. So that was a deployment there. Unfortunately, that was when we talk about what was Turkey like, when you look at it, there was over 1.5 million people displaced, over 60,000 people deceased, over 400,000 homes and buildings destroyed. The scale of it was unimaginable. There was a slight delay in our departure from Australia. That was being able to procure or have an air platform to transport. We have 22 tonne of equipment, 74 personnel.
Enormous.
And so there was a bit of a delay, but when we went there, a lot of our work was about repatriation or recovery of the deceased, allowing people over there, the local community, to have that closure on their family members. Yeah. So it was just under 40 deceased persons that we were able to recover and allow then the family members to have that closure.
Wow, I think you need some emotional rescue after that. I'm going to play that track in a sec, but I want to ask you about the INS ARAG. Now, what's that classifier in China?
Yeah, so INSARAG.
INSARAG.
Yes. So it's United Nations International Search and Rescue Advisory Group. So I'm a classifier. So part of my work in urban search and rescue and the experience, I am a management classifier. So teams, China, Singapore, Indonesia, Poland, and I'm actually now mentoring Thailand to achieve. Yes. They go for an INSARAG external classification or reclassification. So they're assessed to meet certain requirements to be able to wear that patch on their shoulder saying that they are a urban search and rescue team as such.
Yep.
And so part of my role is to go there, assess teams. There's over 150 checkpoints they've got to achieve, close to 170 checkpoints. So over a 36-hour exercise simulating a disaster, we assess their ability to deploy, mobilise, to actually in the field as part of that deployment process, and then return to the country.
Be disaster ready. You can't just wait for one and hope for the best.
Prepared for anything.
Prepared for anything. That's it.
Very much.
Ramsay mission in Solomon Islands.
Ramsay is the regional mission at Solomon Islands. Again,
the AFP.
Australian Federal Police. Again, you get to see this. I've been very fortunate in my career. So this was going to be a 2-year deployment to the Solomon Islands. Initially, when I got the application, I thought, I couldn't meet the standard, and I actually put my application, application into the bin, and my partner, wife, was very supportive, said, no, give it a go.
2 years.
So, unfortunately, it ended up only being 5 months. I've got 3 beautiful daughters, and there was 3 areas we had to consider. Safety, and obviously they had it like an uprising there, security and schooling. So safety is also malaria, all those type of tropical diseases,
of course.
the safety and schooling. And the eldest daughter would have had to do like homeschooling as such. So I was about to sign the contract, and unfortunately a AFP officer, Mr. Dunning, was shot and killed as I was in Canberra about to sign the contract.
Ooh.
And Janine called and said, look, we're not prepared to take the girls over there as such.
Yeah.
So I withdrew the 2-year commitment, but they ended up working for just over 5 months until they found a replacement.
Yeah, right. Wow.
It's interesting story is my auntie actually lived over in Solomon Islands, so some of that pidgin English. The Ramsay mission was help 'em friend, so
help them friend. Yes, it's help.
And we had exercises as a kill 'em fire, and part of the process was again fire education, fire safety for the local community members, risk assessments, installing CFU trailers on the outer islands. So amazing experience.
Wow. Just imagine having to take your family there for 2 years. I mean, you were prepared to do it. You're ready to go, or your partner was.
Yes.
Yeah, good on her. Fantastic. Daryl, I've got to ask you, what sort of skills do you bring to the table? With what's been thrown at you over the years and the opportunities that you've taken on, what skills did you have?
Some of the skills is probably part of the BROTE is the experience across a wide range of areas in fire rescue as such. Now that gives me my task level or base skills as such to work on. Leadership under pressure. Unfortunately, with emergency services, it is making decisions instantaneously, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I bring that leadership component through there. As I say, the skills, the building industry background and that, it's helped me very much so in the urban search and rescue area. And it's generally just that exposure I've had throughout my career and learning. And we call that recognition prime decision making. So you develop those folders or those files of past experiences, and it allows then you to apply them or refer it to them when you come across a situation. And then you can build then an IAP, an instant action plan based on that.
Yeah, you must be very strong emotionally. I don't know whether I could personally cope with all that you've seen and done. How do you prepare mentally and physically?
A lot of that is prior to, and that's developing a level of resilience. And a common day for me is, because I work just as BAU pressures as such, and that would be, work early, walk, stretching. Organisationally wide, fantastic. When I first joined, it was almost like have a spoonful of cement and toughen up. This day and age now,
that's what they used to say.
Very much so. This day and age, fire rescue with the mental health and wellbeing, our peer support and the support mechanisms there is fantastic. So we've got a lot of areas we can reach into to provide that support. And one of the key ones is family, and especially my partner Janine is having that support there.
Yes.
It enables me to, prepare for, but then also it's that level of a debrief when you come back from an incident.
It's very levelling, and having a family and 3 girls that don't experience your day-to-day life would bring you back to earth and family life. Very good for mental health.
Very much so. But then, the whole family very proud of. Wife, Janine, she works for a skin specialist that does cancer, a lot of cancer patients as such.
Oh, that's tough.
Eldest daughter, Paul Ramsey, lawyer, so that's a charity organisation. Megan, she's a school teacher, assistant principal, and the youngest one's now over in Abby. She's over in London, and she's an EA for a charity organisation, director for a charity. So there's a common theme of the community support and engagement.
Isn't there the influence of mother and father? By the sounds of it. Tough. What a tough family. That's fantastic. You should be proud of them.
Very much so.
Look, you've clearly had a wide-ranging and impactful career, responding to everything from catastrophic bushfires, flood rescues, earthquakes, you name it. I imagine some of these moments stay with you. Can you share a few stories that have really shaped you as a firefighter and leader?
Every incident you attend is different as such, Majority of them, and the whole premises of us, our responding, is trying to bring that community back to a level of normality as soon as possible as such, and obviously supporting the victims and the casualties as such out there. stories, they've all come back. I look at Thredbo, how cold it was, the eerie silence. When we sound is heard, 3 blasts, all quiet. 3 blasts is actually off the sites. We had some after tremors and shakes, so 3 blasts warning, we have to leave the site. But when we call for all silence, that eerie sound on the site as such, then unfortunately there was a number of deceased at Thredbo. So the position of removing those fatalities from there.
Yeah.
Christchurch, eerie at night, there was a sound. We heard like the heavy machinery, the excavators, 80-tonne excavators, and at night you just saw the rubble buildings and you hear that grinding of metal on the streets. And I could only imagine what war-torn areas would sound like when there's like tanks and that going through there as such. So Turkey, last night there, we had a 6.4 earthquake. And it just sounded like someone someone was just ripping the ground open with their bare hands. Like, it's just this eerie sound. And today, if I'm at locations like Martin Place, train stations, hear that rumbling, I still have a sense of, you know what I mean?
Yes.
An earthquake.
I do know what you mean, because I lived in California for a while, in Mexico, and earthquakes were a part of life over there. I remember lying in bed once and hearing this rumble. I thought, I felt my body shake, and I thought, is that me having an out-of-body experience? Yeah. I realised then that the whole earth was shaking and the bed I was lying in was shaking. But the sound, the sound of rumbling, and especially when you live on the coast, you can just hear, it just comes from below, and it just fills the air with this sound, doesn't it, that you'll never forget.
Very much so. And then also you reflect on what the community must have gone through when the initial earthquake or initial disaster has actually impacted their community, and you just reflect on what they've gone through. Yeah,
well, Mexico had a very bad one that came in from the coast and hit Mexico City, and it travelled, 5 hours and the epicentre then wasn't from where it started, but 5 hours in, driving-wise, it was 5 hours in, Mexico City, and that was disastrous. But tremors, when I first heard a tremor, I was in shopping, like a Woolworths over there or whatever store, Gigante, I think it was called, and everything started shaking on the shelves, and people were just pushing their trolleys. Nobody was, nobody was running or phased at all, because they live with tremors all the time. Nothing like a real earthquake, like a 4 or 5 level, and I think earthquakes, every point is 1,000 times greater, isn't it?
Yeah, the magnitude.
Yes.
And the ring of fire around that whole Pacific area, they're saying something's brewing, so to speak. You know what I mean? There's been a number of earthquakes now. We've had recent one up in Russia.
That's it.
Tsunami warning as such. But unfortunately, that's just Mother Earth, so to speak, moving around. The tectonic plates moving around as such.
Yeah, and they will. And there's always something here to challenge us. And even Australia got that warning, and we're not quite on that ring of fire, are we? New Zealand is.
Yes, we're just outside it. We do have earthquakes, but fortunately for Australia, we're outside that,
Yeah, that bad one from Newcastle to Wollongong. There was quite a very bad one.
Very much so.
Were you in the fireys then?
I was, but I didn't respond up to Newcastle on that, no.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Closer to home, you mentioned you're deployed to assist landslide Thredbo, earthquakes. You've talked about those disasters. Very close to home, the Barrenjoey headland bushfire. Now, you sent me some stuff there, pictures of what was going on. You were in command at the time?
No, it was 2013.
Yeah.
Bit of background. Daughters did the Duke of Ed, and part of that you had to do volunteering, so they joined North Palm Beach Surf Club.
Yeah.
And then the father thought, we'll join too, to keep an eye on them, so to speak. So part of there with a tight bunch of fellow lifesavers as such. And then 2013, we're there on patrol on the beach, and Peter Jones, one of the patrol members, noticed there was some smoke off the smugglers track, about halfway up the smugglers track.
Ooh.
So from there, I said, all right, I'll better have a look, see this, obviously, because my background in fire rescue. So dialed the 000 call, and based on my experience, I was able to say, look, we will need rural fire service there, and we'll need aerial support, like helicopters as such. and also that suggested the idea or requested that an emergency alert be put out for that area. Just so that's what they do is like a polygon or a shape around that area, and they were actually able to send out messages on mobile phones to warn people. So,
yes, in the old days. So lucky we had mobile phones 2013, yeah.
very much so.
Yeah, that's it.
So from there, we took one of the ATVs from North Palm Beach Surf Club, and I took young Tom Foster up there. There was gates, they were doing the roadworks, we had to move those, and I got Tom, then there was a couple of resident buildings on the Pittwater side. I got him just to check that there was no occupants in there.
Of course.
I went up as far up the track as I could and just make sure there was no members of the public there, and then ended up taking the RFS up in the ATV up to the buildings.
Yes.
Through background knowledge and experience and walks there with my dad in the past and knowing the local ranger, Colin, I knew that there was a stored water supply there. There were some portable pumps, so I was able to access the assistant lightkeeper's building as such, climbed over the handrail, started a portable pump, threw a hand line over to, or a line of 38mm hose to a rural fire member. And then they actually, when they gained entry, opened some door sides, closed some doors to make sure because the wind was blowing straight. No, I think it was like a westerly blowing.
Yeah.
So secured that building, went into the main lightkeeper's house. Again, I had to break entry into a room there where there was another portable pump and started directing that. Then handed that over to an RFS member, and by that time there was 3 helicopters dispatched, and I started trying to direct the actual helicopters to their warding bobbing missions because it was blowing up from like the Pittwater side uphill, and a bushfire doubles its speed for every 10 degrees increase in slope. So I was directing the water bombers to actually drop their loads or their payloads in and around that southwestern corner of the lighthouse.
Which is where the fire was heading to, so you wet all that ground.
Very much so.
Yes, so it will not ignite.
Yeah.
And was there any damage up the top?
There was damage, and as I was there and I handed over the various, started the pumps, handed over the hose lines to RFS members, I was at the back and I was looking at one of the roof, and I just saw some smoke out from underneath the ridge cap of one of the buildings. So went back in there, stuck my head up into like the
cavity of the
roof void, and noticed there was some smouldering up there. So I was able to get team members. I was up there, and Colin, the ranger, said, "Oh, you got a call from National Park headquarters that they wanted me to leave the area, but there was no way I was going to travel back down that road." And as I said, was I properly attired? No, and we ask all residents if they're going to fight bushfires, protect their house. We don't like them fighting fires per se, but always make sure you're properly attired. I was in a pair of surf life saving outfits and thongs, so I wasn't. But
Not quite dressed.
Yeah, but I had that experience and knowledge, and knew that I could protect myself up there whilst protecting that infrastructure.
Yeah, wow. The picture you can for listeners, the whole headland was on fire, wasn't it?
Very much
right,
so.
Bottom to top.
Yeah, and it's quite dramatic actually. It almost looks like rivers of fire because of the rock face. It was the vegetation down through certain like cracks and areas of it and ravines, and you could see the fire dropping down through there. Incredible, but just heartening in regards to what appeared to be malicious activity or some form of activity has started a fire in that area.
And it was in the morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, mid-morning. Yes.
Mid-morning.
Yes.
Oh, it's terrible that it happened, and it recovered, obviously. So there would be people out there that might remember that going on. Anyone who lived in Palm Beach or that has that view of that headland, or in fact, the whole of the Northern Beaches would have seen the smoke, wouldn't they?
Very much so.
Yeah,
very much so.
Absolutely. I am going to ask you, as someone who's seen the devastation fire can cause close up, I imagine fire prevention is something you feel passionate about. Let's talk about fire and safety themes, because I know there are some. We're over winter at the moment, and how we can all stay safer. So what are the key messages for Be Fire Safe, Winter Fire Safety Campaign?
Yeah, the first half we're talking about response, but as we know, prevention's already better than cure as such. For fire rescue, Be Fire Safe is the Winter Fire Safety Campaign message. And for each month of winter, we've had a theme. So in June, we had the Smoke Alarm Action Day and smoke alarms. It was focusing about smoke alarms. And when we talk about smoke alarms, compulsory since 2006, they can only save lives if they work. So part of that process is ensuring the communities out there. We used to have change your battery, change your clock, change your battery.
Yeah.
But now a lot of smoke alarms are hardwired, or they have those lithium-ion batteries. So the focus is more about once a month checking that smoke alarm actually works.
Yeah, so look, I have had to get the fireys out to help with our smoke alarms because they're too high. They're set too high on the roof and I can't access them. And a lot of people don't know that if you ring up the fire brigade, they will come out and change the batteries on your smoke alarm.
Yeah, very much so. Or it's a bit broader than that now. We have fire safety visits, which incorporates, assessing if you do have a smoke alarm. Hopefully every resident do, but we know that a lot of residents' buildings don't. So, if you contact the local fire station or go online with Fire Rescue New South Wales.gov.au, you can actually book in a safety visit. So a crew will come out, they will assess smoke alarms as such, they'll install smoke alarms if you don't. Yep. Recommendation, it's required to have one on each level. Our recommendation, take it to that next level, have one in each area where a person sleeps as such. Yeah. But crews will come out, fit that, and then they'll start talking about general fire safety throughout the house.
Yeah, and just good check. So this month is...
This month we're moving into, so June was smoke alarm.
That's June.
July was escape plans.
Escape plans. Know your escape.
Exactly.
And what do you do? As keys near the door, or if you've got deadlocks, what's the plan?
We call it about EDITH, escape drills in the home. So exactly what you said, Carolyn, is that if you're having deadlocked doors, ensure you've got a key near that door or such. So obviously you need to have the smoke alarm ability. When you're asleep, your senses sleep, so you need that smoke alarm to ensure that you're aware there is, unfortunately, if the fire has started as such. And then part of that is ensuring that you have a meeting place. You have two means of exit from each room. We know 2 stories, that may be difficult, and then especially with your children, practice it. And where are you going to assemble when you do leave the home?
Your emergency assembly area, yes.
Exactly. And make sure that you don't go back in trying to get certain items. Your life is the priority.
Yes.
You need to exit that building, dial 000, call the emergency services and stay out and wait for the emergency services.
Wait for them to arrive, that's right. And what about this month? We're in August now?
This month is kitchen fire safety. Over 50% of our fires start in the kitchen.
The chips.
Exactly. Unattended cooking. Very much so. So our little... message or memo is keep looking while you're cooking as such. You know what I mean? People do get distracted. And the big one, if you talk about the chips, oil, use deep frying chips as such.
Do not throw water on the oil.
100%. 100%. Very much so. There's aspects there where if you've got an extinguisher or try to cover it as such, all right, remove it from the element as such. But please don't throw it. Right? Again, remove yourself from that harm. Exit the building, call 000, emergency services will come. Yeah.
I always have a fire blanket nearby and a little extinguisher in case it's within my realm to be able to fix the problem if I've set off a little fire. And not that I've had to use it, but is this something that everybody should have near their cooking area?
Very much so. But make sure you have it you want it between where you cook and the exit paths. Don't have it on the other side. So if you're going to access those first aid firefighting measures, that you do have an area to then escape if things go further south, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then part of that, what we talk about is an acronym RACE. So rescue if you can of anyone, all right?
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Raise the alarm, all right?
Yes.
Contain the fire if possible.
Yep.
All right, and that may be when you exit the building, close the door behind you.
Right.
All right, and then the other one is to extinguishment. But following that, rescue if you can, raise the alarm, contain the fire if it's safe, and then also ensure that
exit. Is it RACE?
Yes.
Yes, that's and closing doors. That's a very good point because drafts, fire follows the airflow, doesn't it?
Yeah, we have wind-affected fires as such. Obviously, similar to your bushfires, in a house fire, you have the convection currents from when something's heating. So as the smoke rises, it is drawing in that cooler air as such. Yeah. So that, and then when you look at it, you got the fire triangle in very basic terms.
Yes.
Fuel, air, and oxygen as such, or fuel, oxygen, and heat.
Heat,
are the 3 elements.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you could starve the fire, and that's what some of the extinguishers work on that principle.
Yeah, right. We're talking about lithium-ion batteries, and I'd say around the world this is an issue right now. fires the most growing concern. What should people be aware of there?
Very much so. Lithium-ion batteries, the fastest growing fire risk in New South Wales. One of the key aspects to that is that, don't charge devices overnight in hallways or exits. Some people may have seen footage I've noticed, especially when you look at those high-rise type living, people might take their e-bike or mobility device inside the building, leave it near the doorway on charge overnight. And the issues are if you have use only approved chargers and avoid modified equipment. So you don't want it near the exit. You don't want to charge it, leave it heating overnight. And it's amazing when you start looking around the household how many lithium-ion battery devices you have, from mobile phones through to laptops to, as I say, those mobility devices,
e-bikes and the like.
Exactly.
Yes. And once they're charged, you don't want to just leave them on charge and go out of the house, do you?
Very much so, yeah. And you need to ensure that the charging units are reputable, branded charging devices, and don't try to modify those equipment yourself.
Yes, and they warn you about cheap batteries from China to get the certified battery and not the cheap version.
Certified, wherever they may be obtained from, ensure that they are certified as such. Very much so.
Yeah, that's good. So, we had some key stats that you gave me in winter 2024, how many residential fires. Interesting stats indeed. Do you want to go through them?
Yeah, so in winter 2024, we had just over 1,036 residential fires. Unfortunately, 12 deaths and over 107 injuries. In 44 of those cases, there was no smoke alarm or one that didn't work. So hence when we spoke about testing that smoke alarm and having one in the first place, but then testing it. In 2025, unfortunately, 6 fire fatalities so far. And that's across the state, 10 in fire rescue areas, 11 in fire rescue areas, and then 5 in the RFS. And unfortunately, we had one in Epping this week, a fire fatality. So firefighters were able to rescue the person, but they then later passed.
It was smoke that got him.
Smoke is the biggest killer when we look at fires. And again, it happens back to that smoke alarm. Your senses are asleep, so you can't smell it.
And here it is, the lithium stat.
Lithium-ion batteries, 2025, over 166 so far that initiated by lithium-ion batteries. We expect to exceed 2024's total of 324 this year, so it's a growing concern. So a lot of these alternate energy sources as such are bringing new challenges, new hazards that we need to face. And as a group, as all stakeholders in safety, I suppose, like emergency services, fire rescue, the community, we need to work together to try to mitigate those hazards.
It's quite a worry because people put them in their luggage when they're going on planes and things like that. And one of the new phones, I won't say what brand it was, they had to put an update because it was overheating when it was charging. Yeah,
again, very much so. So ensure that the manufacturer's requirements, you understand what's required to charge or to store or to carry those devices, maintain those batteries.
Yeah, and don't just leave it on your bed and go off for dinner, just...
Exactly. And then to cut the chase to when we talk about bed, electric blankets and heaters. So that's another one. Out of winter, we're looking at that. A lot of people may have had electric blankets. You need to check it prior to putting in storage and then roll rather than fold those electric blankets. And your heaters as such, a metre from the heater. So a couple of those little...
metre from the heater, that's a good advice. So last question, what are the top 3 things that people should do today to make their homes safer?
We're looking at the top 3 things. The first one is check your smoke alarms. All right? So we check the smoke alarm and we say a working smoke alarm, not just it's up there, a working smoke alarm. Second one is the EDITH program. So you do know that you do have an escape measure as such.
The EDITH program, yes.
And then the third one would be general housekeeping principles. So that's when you're looking at your meter from your heater, your power boards and double adapters. You don't
piggyback.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. So those general, they're easily to achieve or to put in place, maintain those basic fire safety measures. And then we just ask the community to work with us to mitigate those fire risks in the house.
And check your cords. You throw them out if they're frayed, especially at the join. I had an iron fizzle at me the other day and unsalvageable, the old
Very
the
much
iron.
so, yeah. A licensed electrician to review or dispose of, exactly.
Very expensive to get an electrician out, and sometimes these products are just better off buying a new one.
Yeah, up to the individual how they approach it.
Yeah, that's it. Look, Chief Superintendent Daryl Dunbar, thank you so much for sharing your incredible career journey, some valuable information on fire safety, and not just for us, but for the brave men and women who respond when we need them. A big thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Colin, and I'd just like to thank Northern Beaches Radio listeners, and please stay safe out there.
Absolutely. Listeners, please check your smoke alarms, change your devices safely, and visit Fire and Rescue New South Wales website for more tips, which is
firerescuenewsouthwales.gov.au.
That's right. So a very easy one. You can just Google it, as they say, and stay safe. And we'll see you next time on Radio Northern Beaches for another episode of Spin the Globe. Thank you, Daryl. You're a legend.
Australia, the lucky country. We've got meat pies. We've got the world's best beer. But most importantly, top of the list, we've got Radio Northern Beaches 88.7, 90.3. Now hitting the entire world on www.rnb.org.au.